Hey everyone, it is the beautiful Emily.
Well, thank you, Cassie.
I just watched this girl work like 12 straight hours. How you feeling?
Tired.
She's tired. I'm Cassie Dunn. I work here at Elevate with Emily, and this Thursday Toast is just a time for Emily and I to let our professional hair down, talk about what's on our minds, what we're seeing in your chair, what we're seeing in the like aesthetics industry in general,
industry,
life,
all that,
motherhood,
every Thursday,
entrepreneurship. She's tired today.
Little tired,
But I picked these up today. I know I'm supposed to mix some drinks.
Sparkling white wine.
Yes, it looked nice.
That's what I like, and it's sparkly.
And I loved the cans.
Yeah, they're nice.
I am a sucker for packaging.
This is called Bev Glitz.
Glitz, the glam. So
Alrighty.
We're gonna have a drink, 0 calories. Yeah, 0 sugar. I mean,
She hasn't been drinking yet, guys.
I haven't been drinking. So
Thursday toast.
Thursday Toast,
Yes.
and so Emily, you're pretty peeved. Is it good?
It's good, guys.
Ooh, that's worth grabbing. That's gonna be boat drinks, Mark. Boat drinks. You gotta come about this summer.
So
Tell us what's on your mind.
So I have a lot on my mind.
You have a lot.
I have a lot. I've had a lot of things happen, and as we're growing this business, just a lot of discoveries and things that make me want to do a lot of research all the time. And I was laughing and telling Cassie earlier today, it's like I'm researching more than I even realize. I'm just like, oh, I gotta look this up, I gotta look that up. But
earlier today, I was like, why is vitamin B12 red? And she's like, I'm gonna look it up.
There's a reason for everything. But one of my passions here at Elevate is the hair restoration. That's basically using your own body's liquid gold to treat and maintain your hair follicles and basically encourage growth and then feed it the nutrients it needs to maintain that. A lot of people don't know that this is an option. This was even newer technology to me in the last year. And so when I heard about it and I started seeing people's results, I was pretty impressed. But what really pissed me off, for lack of better words, is what I've encountered recently. So I've had three clients in the last about four months or so who came in for consultation. And when they come in for consultation, of course, the first thing they want to know is, will it work for me? Will what you're offering work for me? But the first client I'll tell you about was a guy. I think I told you about him. And he came in and he had what appeared to be scar tissue on his scalp. And it was pretty significant. And he had told me he had an injury before and there was like a tear in the scalp. And he also mentioned steroid injections, but he didn't actually go into detail. So I thought, oh, they're giving these steroid injections to treat the injury.
The injury.
Right. So I'm like, okay. And I kind of wasn't putting 2 and 2 together because as a nurse, I know, okay, steroids treat inflammation. And they help reduce that and hopefully take the length off of your illness or injury. But then I had another client come in for a consultation. This was a woman who had severe alopecia, and she said she was getting steroid injections. And I'm like, okay.
Directly into her scalp, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like questioning, why are we doing steroid injections? Because then go back to nursing 101, pharmacology, steroid injections cause hair loss. That's a side effect.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to put a picture together, but it's still not cemented in my mind. Luckily for that client, she had went to a dermatologist and had biopsies done of her scalp, and it showed the follicles were still active. And what she did is stop the injections.
Right.
So she wanted to reach out for other services. So that's why she came to Elevate. But fast forward to last week. So this lady comes in.
This is where Emily gets mad.
This is where I get really pissed off. This lady comes in and she's like, she wanted a consultation for the PRP hair restoration. And she did a very, very good job at concealing. Like, this is an emotional thing for people. Like, can you imagine?
We've actually had clients book appointments, cancel appointments, because a lot of them have to stop doing the hair, the weaves and the wigs and the things that they're doing to let the process take, right?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of emotional things they have to overcome to even get to that point where they get in the chair to start doing the treatment.
Right, exactly. So the frustrating thing about that is, like, your people are in their most vulnerable moments.
Right.
They're in your chair. They're just hanging on to any type of hope that you can help them. So it took a lot for this client, and I really appreciate her. She came in and she had to take her hair down. It took, some time because she does so well at concealing it. And it's the entire top portion of her scalp. When I talk about emotion, like you think about something that represents you, and she was very concerned about being vain. I don't want to be vain.
Right.
And I was trying to reassure you, this isn't vanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how you feel about yourself. This is when you think of yourself, you think of yourself of having hair that's a part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that is a vanity type of thing. So
I would say most people who come to Elevate don't have a vanity issue.
mhm.
They're just trying to become the best version of themselves and improve things that are natural about them. Because that's why people come here, because you're a natural aesthetic practitioner.
Right.
Like you do things that look natural but enhance.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say you have a ton of vain clients even to begin with.
No, I really don't. So I just felt bad for her that she felt the need to say that because she didn't want to look like she's being vain, but she cares obviously that her hair
Right.
is no longer there.
As the majority of us would.
Yes, we all will. And even men too. Men are insecure too, but unfortunately it's like a society thing, or you're a man, you go bald, it's fine, but
Mhm.
it still affects us,
Right.
as people. So that being said, to get to the point, she shared with me she's been going to this dermatologist, very well known in the hair loss industry. A lot of people go to dermatologists because they're a doctor
Right.
who specialize in skin,
Mm-hmm.
who specialize in hair loss, and that's who they reach out to because they trust them.
Right.
Trust that
They have the
degree.
credentials, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, they're a doctor, and I see that a lot in the forum. Don't go to a med spa here. Go to a doctor, and I can appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But she takes her hair down, and I start to immediately put a picture together. Her scalp looks exactly like this person's scalp, who looks exactly like the first person's scalp, and they all three have received steroid injections
For hair loss.
For hair loss.
To regrow it.
To regrow it. These steroid injections were done in a dermatology office. They are also done adding in some light therapy. So they do the steroid injections, and they were all three confirmed with me every month. So every month they go in for a series of steroid injections throughout the scalp, and then they would get some light therapy. I don't know the cost or whatnot, but this was every 4 weeks thing. And in my mind, now I put a picture together. I've seen 3 people with the exact same scalp, scar tissue, guys. No follicles. This is scar tissue. This is dead tissue, basically. So now I'm pissed. Because I'm like, how dare these people sell that to somebody and say this is going to treat your hair loss, but it actually potentiates hair loss.
Right.
So I said, okay. And as you guys get to know me, and Cassie already knows me, I kind of speak my mind. And sometimes it comes out really quickly without a filter because I'm so passionate about what we do. And I want my clients to have the best experience and the best outcome, obviously. And that's why our goal here, obviously, is transparency. We never want to sell anything or make people feel like there's hope when there's not.
I've actually sent clients away, right? Or given them the prognosis is like not good, right?
Right.
Which is what you had to tell this particular client.
Yeah, this particular client, I did tell her, like, obviously, I would never want to tell somebody it's not worth trying. Like, let's try. But I guarantee that it'll grow because there is so much scar tissue.
Right.
So after that appointment, I went home and I decided I'm going to do some research. I was up all night, like, researching him. Obviously, Marlon, my husband, he will be in Elevate too, as working and doing services. He's a nurse as well. And I was like, am I wrong for thinking, like, steroids cause hair loss? Why would we treat with steroids? And
directly into the place.
Exactly.
That we're trying to regrow hair.
Exactly. So I start looking up some stuff, and what I find is that there is one situation where corticosteroids are utilized to treat hair loss.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that it is beneficial is in the case of autoimmune condition called alopecia areata. So that's where you see the people have like the little circles and then eventually can turn into the full scalp.
Okay.
And the reason why those particular people lose their hair is because the autoimmune system is fighting it and causing inflammation in the follicle, which then causes the shedding of the hair. So the reason why steroids will work is because steroids reduce the inflammation. But that's the only time steroids will help. And in those cases, it has to be severely microdosed. Like it has to be a very minute dose. And it even says there's multiple evidence-based research articles, you guys can all feel free to look it up, that state if it's not microdosed or managed appropriately, that it can cause scar tissue and irreversible harm.
Which is what we've seen now in almost three patients
people.
here.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay. I go back to, I'm reliving the consultation with the third client, and she tells me that her dermatologist did a biopsy on her scalp and confirmed that she did not have alopecia areata. So why are we getting steroids?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where does your thought process go? Why would they continue to do that?
My real thought process?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have nothing else to offer her, so they don't want to lose her as a client, so they give the typical injection that they've been doing over and over again. Or they know what it leads to. These are my two thought processes. Or they know what it leads to, and my guess is they're probably linked up with a hair surgeon of some kind, where they then say, okay, well, this didn't work for you. Now hair plugs, or is that really the only other hair surgery you can get?
Hair transplant, which
Hair
is like
transplant,
plugs.
like plugs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing I can think of, because I can't see why. And being a massage therapist and knowing how fibrotic tissue works and how hard it is to break down, and how, and honestly painful it can be for people. Like we didn't even talk about that, like the actual pain, the physical pain. Like those spots are tender to touch for a very, very long time. So you're getting pain, lumps. Like I'm sure it was leathery and thick.
Yes.
Like that's not appealing either. Like pain wise, or so I don't know why they're keep doing it.
It doesn't even feel like live tissue. It feels like
dead leather tissue,
like cold, tough leather.
Cold. It's not even getting circulation. So we've now affected the limbs, the circulatory system. That I'm sure the nervous system is now being affected. And then on top of that, like that binding of the tissue, it's going to start pulling the tissue in different directions.
Right. Exactly.
So bad news.
Basically, to touch on what you just said, I believe we're onto something, because all three of these clients actually also mentioned how these dermatology offices immediately have a big name hair transplant center card right here. Oh, we can no longer help you anymore. You need a transplant. Okay, so average hair transplant costs between $10,000 to $20,000.
And what did we see the success rate was when we were looking that up?
It's minimum. It's under 50%.
It's under 50%. So your out-of-pocket expense is $10,000 plus. Sometimes $5,000. I think I've seen some where they advertise $5,000, but we know how advertising works. Like $5,000, and then.
But if you get the skinny grafts, and if you get that,
right.
But then what they also don't talk about, when you get a hair transplant, it doesn't end there.
No.
They recommend PRP
after that to keep the
So
result.
now you're going to continue with those treatments.
Right.
But so it just kind of makes you think, okay, they're doing these steroids. They know that it can potentiate into this. So why is that? So the research I've done, steroids reduce inflammation with alopecia areata. Now, if there isn't inflammation present, what steroids does do is increase this byproduct called DHT. So what DHT does is it is a byproduct that's normally found in conjunction basically with testosterone. It comes from the breakdown of testosterone. Right. And that's where you see the male pattern baldness. So the men they start losing their hairs due to that testosterone breaking down, turning into DHT. And it binds to the follicle and it shrinks the follicles, and then it makes the hair life cycle like premature. So that's why it never actually matures, and then the follicle shrinks. So that's how you get the thinning. So basically, when you give a corticosteroid injection and it's not actually being used for the right purpose, it just increases that DHT, not only in men, but women.
But women now. Yeah.
So I think that's why the first client who told me he was getting those steroid injections, he's a man, he had significant balding.
Right.
And there was no follicles present the way I could see. We did go ahead and start treatments. He's about to get his third treatment, but he's gotten growth around that scar tissue area, but the scar tissue area, I haven't really seen what I would want to see.
Right.
So it's just very frustrating to see that these practitioners are people that trust, they have the community's trust.
Well, didn't the one client even say, like, there's rooms full of people there for the same treatment?
She said, Emily, when I go to this particular dermatology office, the whole waiting room is people that look exactly like me. And they're just lining them up. And injection.
And by the time we usually see a client, how many other treatments have they tried?
Usually they go to their dermatologist and that's whatever they offer them. So by the time they come to me, they're like, oh, I've been looking into transplant, but this is a little bit more cost effective.
Right.
So let's try it here. But by then it's been so long
Mm-hmm.
that it's going to take so many treatments, and then it becomes a big financial cost. So that's why I always stress to people, if you're thinking about anything to do with hair restoration, to reach out as soon as you are ready or notice it, because the sooner we start, the quicker your restoration happens,
Right.
and the less cost that is your investment. But something else to note is I asked all 3 of these clients when they went to their dermatologist, did anybody mention PRP?
Yeah.
And all 3 of them said no.
No. Well, then you even started doing some research, right? So when you look up hair restoration, the steroid treatment doesn't even prompt in a Google search, which means it's not a widely used practice.
Yeah.
It's not a widely researched practice to use for hair regrowth systems. But what comes up? PRP. So even with PRP, we've seen people say, because obviously I manage leads and I manage like questions that come in, and I see like, well, my injections cost this here and X, but we don't just do injections here, right? We don't just do PRP. So really quick, for anybody watching who doesn't know what PRP is, go ahead.
So PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma. Basically, platelet-rich plasma. So your plasma, it houses all of your body's like healing properties. They're called exosomes essentially. So your exosomes is where your healing properties, there's growth properties in there, and those is basically what heals and feeds your body, your
system,
tissues. Right. So what we do is we'll draw your blood and we'll spin it down in a centrifuge to separate that plasma from the red blood cells. So red blood cells are good too, but they're good for like carrying oxygen and, you know, just feeding your body in that sense. But the healing properties is what we want to target with any type. So you'll hear about PRP being used with even knee injuries and stuff. They'll inject it into the joint because it heals that tissue. But same thing with the follicles. If there are follicles present, and we inject that with the PRP, it's going to stimulate the growth and induce collagen and feed the source. So it's basically creating those channels. And then another thing to think about with the PRP on top of that, in a sense, is we're opening channels. Every time we puncture, we're opening a way to the root of the problem, for lack of a better word.
I liked it. I liked it.
Nice, right? But what that does is, so like you've heard of people who are like, oh, I tried Rogaine, it didn't work. Okay, but you're putting it on a closed scalp, essentially. So go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and we don't just stop with the injection. That was the next thing. There's there's a multi-part system here because of just how complex the system is. And like you said, the more punctures you have, the more you can actually introduce that into the scalp. So when we see people getting, I think it was like 250 injection we were seeing.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, transparency counts. A potential client reached out and unhappy with his own results. He was getting PRP injections at his dermatologist's office, and he asked out, just wanted to know pricing.
Right.
And so here at Elevate, our pricing per treatment was $450. We are doing some financial maneuvering to try and make it a little bit more affordable. So moving forward will be $350 a treatment. But that being said, he's like, oh no, I'm good. I only paid $250.
Yeah, and I was like, Emily, why is this guy paying $250?
Yeah.
And then we looked into it, and he's literally getting 4 injections. I believe it was 1 in each quadrant of the scalp, so it's 4. And then we look at our process, which is a multi-step process, and we're not going to go into it a ton because Emily and Marlon really uncovered this process, and it's a really special process that allows us to tag team 2 different needling systems, right? The injections and a needling system to really open up the entire system. Like you said, to open up as many channels as possible to receive those proteins or that plasma, right? Platelet-rich plasma.
I mean, it's protein.
There's proteins in there, guys. Like, settle down.
They're in there somewhere.
So that being said, even cost-effective wise, how many punctures do you think happen per treatment?
Oh, Jesus. So, shoot, I don't even know.
Hundreds?
Thousands.
Thousands, right?
Yeah. My hair restoration people will tell you it's a little uncomfortable. It was a little bit uncomfortable, but it's worth it because they see results.
Right, but they do get a medical grade topical numbing.
Yeah, medical grade triple numbing. So there's 3 types of numbing agent. We leave it sit on there for a good amount of time. It's not unbearable, almost like an irritating tattoo. At first, it might not be so bad, but towards the end of the treatment, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes
That's
later.
how I felt when you did my brows. At first I was like, no big deal. And I was like, all right, I get it. I get it. All right, I get it.
Okay.
But anyways, so what ended up happening with client 3?
So client 3, quite honestly, she's coming back. She is going to come in for a treatment. I'm going to bless her because I don't even want to charge knowing that it might
be
not
futile,
work.
right?
But I don't want to also keep that chance from her if it does.
Right.
So we're going to start a treatment plan next week. And when she comes, I'm actually going to tell her she probably has a negligence suit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so obvious.
They ruled out alopecia areata, which is the only reason why corticosteroids should have been used.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue to do it. And now her scalp is full of scar tissue.
Potentially permanently damaged.
I think it is. Professional opinion, I believe it is. But that's why we just felt like it's really important to get on here and talk about this today,
right.
Because there's obviously hair is a big part of who we are, even though, I mean, it's not a vanity thing. It's just who we are. And first impressions count. And when people see you, you want to feel like your best self. And
you care more than everybody else does. That's just the freaking truth.
Yeah.
I promised I wouldn't say the F word. It's the fucking truth. So
it's true.
It is. And it's hard. Like right now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I hate the shirt I'm wearing. Like it's bugging me that I'm wearing this shirt.
Why?
I don't know. It just is. I think it's because like I dropped some of my lunch on it and it's white. And like we've been here all day working. But yeah, like it's like if you don't feel good in your physical skin, it's hard to perform and operate and reach your highest self because you feel limited by yourself. Like the literal, I call it the sack of meat I'm stuck in most of the time. Like the sack of meat I'm stuck in.
Yeah.
Just like why your mental health is so important because it's stuck inside your sack of meat.
Right.
That's a terrible analogy, and nobody else's body is a sack of meat, just mine.
It's kind of true.
It's kind of true, right? But it can be a prison for you.
It is.
And unlocking that prison for yourself is what unlocks your true potential because we're the only thing that holds us back.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be ugly, you can be dumb, but if you don't believe it,
yeah,
nothing stops you. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. So I feel terrible that this is happening, and I really hope people start doing more research about hair restoration. Even myself, in the last I've been with you like 6-7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea this was even a thing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I've got enough hair like everywhere to feed all the baby everythings in the world. But it's just one of those things where you're like, I had no idea this was an option for people. When I thought hair restoration, I thought hair surgery. Yeah. I instantly thought that because that's all I know. And that's just bomb ass marketing from all y'all out there doing that. Yeah. But the truth is that's not even where you should start.
Yeah, you should start with PRP as soon as the thinning is noticeable. Or like, people notice it and then they're like, oh, I'll just like comb my hair this way or I'll wear a hat and I just let it go. But if we start right away, you might only need 1 or 2 treatments.
Right.
Instead of like my husband on here, he's on his 6th treatment. He's probably going to need about 5 to 6 more. But it's because we didn't know about this. We really started research. And he was actually the reason why we started this. He was so passionate about trying to figure out how to help himself. He was using the fibers. This is something that's personal to us. So that's why we're so passionate about it. He was trying to conceal it. Then COVID hit. And then as a nurse, you go to the hospital. We all had to wear the stupid hair covers and all that stuff.
What were the hair covers for?
COVID will live in your hair. Over in China, they were shaving their heads and stuff. But here, we just threw a cover on. It's okay.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
So when he was using those, they're like hair fibers. I can't remember what it's called, but I lovingly would joke and say, you got your man weave on,
What is it? No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So it's like these little, I can't remember the brand he had, but it looks like it's almost like an assault shaker bottle type of thing. And it has like black or brown fibers. And then you just sprinkle it on and it looks like hair. But the problem with it, if anybody who out there uses this is, if you hug him or something, it'll like get on you. If he goes to bed, like he has to wash it out every night.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and it looks really nice for those out there who decide that's what is best for them. Right. It does look nice, but it's like me without my brows. Before I got my brows done, I had like really thin hair. If I go swimming or something, my makeup's off. Same thing with that. Like if they go swimming or something, you can't conceal it anymore.
Wow. So what other things are people doing to try and deal with hair loss? Like you guys dealt with it, Marlon. What else did you try?
that was really the biggest thing he tried. We started talking about getting, I was going to get trained, I still probably will, in SMP, which is like tattooing where you put hair follicle dots on the scalp with pigment.
Mm-hmm.
So that can work really well if you have a good artist, because if you have somebody who's going too deep into the dermis with the needle, you'll get like that migration of the pigment, or it'll turn gray or blue, which you don't want, obviously, and it can look really unrealistic. So we considered doing that. And then the other option that a lot of people out there now are doing is called male units, where they're actually creating like hairlines where they put glue on.
Oh,
they
yeah.
put the hair unit and shave it and make it look like a nice fade.
Saw that.
And those are remarkable. Those people are skilled.
Some of those people are in like remarkable, like unbelievable. Like that one video you sent me, you would have never known at the end what that was.
He was so like they make it so, but the problem again with that is it only wears for so long, and from what I understand, it's kind of pricey.
Yeah.
And then it's
something that's not
it's
permanent,
itchy.
right?
Yeah. So there's all of that, but if you want your real hair to grow, the best and most what am I trying
authentic?
To say? Yeah, like the more realistic thing to do besides transplant is the
and cost effective.
Yeah.
Like when I have friends that sell like Monet, and like they're big and like they're all doing like their, you know what I'm talking about, like showing all their beautiful hair. And it's, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And it's beautiful and you see it, but those products are not cheap. To be on those products, I mean, I was just talking to our hairstylist earlier today, and like products are going up.
Yeah, they are.
Like all the time, not just like once a year. I mean, she just said they've gone up $10 in the last couple months, like per product.
I think that shampoo was.
Yeah, that was just shampoo. She said this was $35 last time I bought it. Now it's $45.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of those things where these products aren't stopping. When you start to untap your own potential, your body's own potential to grow your own hair, like once you're growing it.
Yeah.
Other than let's note on this, everybody asks how long do the results last?
Yeah.
That's a huge question, right? We hear that all the time.
And it's wholeheartedly dependent on your body. Why were we losing hair in the first place?
Right.
Was it an autoimmune thing? Was it a stress thing? Was it an illness thing?
Was it a nutritional deficiency?
Got it. So if it is a male pattern baldness and your DHT levels are what was leading to your hair loss, and we restore it, that's cool. But if you continue to have those higher DHT levels, it's going to continue to thin. So at that point, I would say it's not permanent. We have to do more maintenance.
Right.
So you might get a full restoration in 3 to 6 treatments, but then you might need an annual treatment or a biannual treatment to maintain it, which in the long run of things, if that's important to you, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But then you might have people who maybe it was illness, like they just were really sick. I have a female client right now, very, very sick with COVID, had a baby. So she had both back to back. She actually had COVID when she delivered the baby.
Oh my gosh.
Started breastfeeding, it's stressful, everything's going on. And then she lost a lot of hair. So for her, my hope is that the restoration will be permanent. And then if she needs a follow-up, like say she gets sick again, or she gets super stressed out and she notices, that's what I say to all my clients. As soon as you notice them falling out, come in for a treatment. Right.
And then there's other things we can do with that treatment while they're in here, right? Like they can also get IV like nutrition with it, right? So especially if you're like someone like me, like I have a nutritional deficiency, which is why I love IV nutrition in general. Like if you're not consuming enough vitamins and minerals, your hair, skin, and nails are going to suffer. That's just the truth.
Exactly. Like if your diet is crap. So here's my favorite saying about PRP. PRP is only as healthy as you are. So if you're out there eating like shit, drinking, smoking, I didn't even talk about that. I'll get to that.
Oh yeah. This is going to bum a ton of people out.
Sorry guys, sorry. But if you're doing these things, then your PRP is going to be shitty. Like
it's kind of like breast milk, right?
Yeah. Like if you go out and party, you're not going to breastfeed, you're gonna dump, right? Pump and dump is what they say. That's what you're supposed to do. So the same thing with PRP. So I tell all my clients, if you guys are wanting optimal results, make sure you're taking a multivitamin at least. Like my husband Marlon, he's a health nut.
He really is. But we love our greens.
Yeah, that's right. He does the turmeric. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory. He takes ginger. He takes black seed oil. He takes all these other things, apricot seed. He does a lot of health conscious stuff and vitamins, and That's every single day he does these things. Plus, here at Elevate, we have the ability to give you a prescription to help with your hair growth. It has a triple combination. It has minoxidil, tretinoin, and retinoic acid. And the three together are like Rogaine on steroids, basically. Hashtag don't use steroids. But just saying, they all three together work really well. They potentiate each other.
Right.
So he utilizes that as well. And so when you start using everything to empower your PRP, you're going to get your best results. Now back to the smoking. Do you remember what I learned?
I do.
Tell them.
This is going to bum you guys out. So, of course, Emily's an Emmy. I call you Emmy. I won't call you that. It made me feel weird. So what is Mark
Now
call
I
you?
demand it.
I demand you call me something.
Emmy.
Emmy Eve.
No.
Emmalou. Is that what Mark calls
Mark can stop.
you? Mark is terrible. He calls me Sea-Doo, if it makes you feel any better. I guess it's a one time. So anyways, Emily's doing a deep dive, and we do a lot of texting at night because I think we're both nighttime thinkers, unfortunately. And she says, well, so one of our clients texts and says, is it fine if I use marijuana before a treatment?
Yeah.
Which, when he came to sign up for the treatment, I'm pretty sure he was using it then. Yeah, like, so it's pretty obvious. But he was experiencing hair loss pretty substantially. So Emily found out that marijuana, which part, was there a particular cannabinoid?
It was just cannabinoids in particular.
Just cannabinoids in particular actually can aid or lead towards hair loss in general. So that's a really big bummer for a lot of people because there's so many healing properties to it.
Yeah.
But like anything, physics, chemistry, every reaction has a reaction. And it really depends on your system, right? We see that all the time. Why do some people get, I won't use that because that's really controversial. Never mind. Why does one person have a reaction to a medication, another person doesn't? We'll
or
leave it
why
at that.
do you have a reaction one time
And then not another time.
Another time.
Right. Or why can I have a whole bottle of champagne one time and I'm totally fine, and the next time I'm wrecked? What is going on with your system? But there's so many different things that your system can encounter when you do anything.
Right.
So I wonder if people who experience that are already deficient in other things, or their stress levels are already really high and their hormone imbalance is happening. Because a lot of people who are using marijuana are self-medicating. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
We're self-medicating. Because the only reason to use any type of mind-altering properties is to medicate in some way or another, whether it's to slow your thoughts, reduce anxiety, sleep.
And this particular client did say that. He said, I don't drink, but this is what I do. I'm stressed. Like, this is what I do to relax. And as who I am, I'm not gonna be like, no, you shouldn't do that. But it triggered me to have to research that because I'm like, well, let me see how this would affect you. Because it's like, for example, if you come to me for permanent makeup or Botox or filler, I'm gonna tell you, avoid caffeine, avoid alcohol for at least 24 hours. There's certain things you have to avoid. So when he asked me that, like, whenever I have those clients for permanent makeup and stuff, they're like, can I smoke? Yeah, sure. If you want to, that's your choice to partake in that. But when he asked me that, I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you no, but let me get back to you. So I did the research and come to find out our body has natural cannabinoids in it. I can't remember off the top of my head what they're called. I'll figure that out. But it's something like endocannabinoids, or it starts with an E.
There's a lot of research on those. So
basically, your body already has it, and research has been tied to show that when you have an increased level of those, then it's tied to hair loss. Same thing. It binds the follicles, it causes the damage. So it says,
and that's the truth of marijuana. It stays in your system for quite a long time, and it's very binding, which is why sometimes it can be very healing and sometimes it can be very detrimental.
Yeah. So then the more I dug, the more I researched, it did say that obviously there's no like true hardcore, yes, it leads to hair loss, but there is studies that have shown that it can potentiate it and it can be tied, but obviously there's always factors, right? Anytime we're looking at research, there's so many other factors. So I just told him that, it could potentially hinder. And obviously, if you're investing in hair restoration, you're paying some people $350 a service times like 5. That's a couple thousand, right? So if you're investing that much, you might want to hold off on that.
Random question. Is anybody receiving hair restoration treatments not seeing results of some kind with us?
No.
I don't think I've heard you say one time.
Every single person who's came to me has gotten results. Now, the one person that has the scar tissue, he doesn't have the results I would like that I've seen with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But anywhere that's not scar tissue, he has.
Right.
So the scar tissue itself has not. But every single person we've treated has had growth.
Well, that's super exciting.
We've had somebody restored in 2 treatments. Full restoration.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I wish I could be like, here's their photo.
But then again, like with him, he started when he was thin. He wasn't
Right.
like bald to the scalp.
Well, and that's a lot of people's thought, like, I'll wait till it gets bad enough.
Mhm.
But that's really where the investment becomes much more
Mhm.
and also leads to like a longer return on investment, I guess you could say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely an investment of time. I know finances is a big part of it, but time. So this isn't a service. PRP is not a service that you're going to get it and tomorrow you're going to have hair down to your back. And I know that sounds silly that I'm saying that, but some people, we're in a very much here and now
Yeah, I want
type
it now.
of world. And I always tell my clients, like, this is going to be an investment of time. If you look in our pamphlet, I'm going to try not to knock this over. And you can find this on my Instagram, but at the bottom, you'll see, like, this is after 1 treatment, this is after 2, 3, and 4. Each picture is after 4 to 6 weeks. This isn't like
Instant.
tomorrow. This is like 5 months worth of time here. And to get him full restoration is probably going to be at least a year. And I have another client where it'll probably be 2 years for that person. She has complete alopecia. So,
Right.
but she's getting growth after 1 treatment.
Well, that's what's so, I think I see screenshots all the time come through of like, oh my God, Emily, my hair is growing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at
Yeah.
these baby hairs.
Yeah.
Like, I even think after, I was getting kind of paranoid because we did the PRP on my belly. I was like, oh no, I hope my belly hair doesn't grow back. But so let's talk about that really quick. What are the other uses for PRP? Because it is pretty endless.
Yeah.
And just pretty amazing how many different
PRP.
things we can use it for.
PRP is amazing. Like, that is your body's liquid gold. It's full of healing. So anything you could think that needs healing, hair loss, scar tissue, stretch marks,
Facial
collagen,
rejuvenation,
yeah.
right?
collagen induction, facial rejuvenation for people who have sunken tear trough area. Instead of jumping right to filler, you could try PRP. If we inject PRP under here, it's going to give you that volume and lift, but it's also going to give you collagen induction, which takes about 6 weeks or so to actually see the results from that.
Right.
So that's the thing about PRP is, like, again, it's not a here right now transformation. If I put filler in your tear trough, you're going to see results today. But PRP is natural.
Mhm.
It's your own body. You're not going to have rejection issues or allergic reaction to it, but it is going to take about 4 to 6 weeks to really see the results from that.
Right. So after a PRP treatment, we want to make sure we're like fully hydrating. What else do we want to do?
So fully hydrating, vitamins, taking care of yourself, using the aftercare that's recommended. So here at Elevate, we have a whole MD Pen line of aftercare. We will have other things to offer very shortly. We have plated,
Mhm.
which you guys can do some research on that, but it's basically exosomes. Exosomes is platelets. That's what we're drawing from you and spinning it down. But every time we're spinning it down in a centrifuge, there's a chance of some sort of damage to those cells because we're pulling it apart essentially. Right. So with plated, it's by Ryan Aesthetics. It's actually backed by the Mayo Clinic. They did a lot of research on it. It's full of exosomes, 1.5 trillion per bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not cheap, guys. I am very much, I'm used to being like single mom.
Yep.
And I understand finances. I understand all of that. So I hate to like tell people how much it is, but it's $250 for a bottle. But what I can tell you is we did some research and it's like, when you look up exosome skin serum,
oh my gosh,
$500.
When we were talking about pricing for that, we were just like, because we both are, we've both been single moms. I'm still a single mom. Like, when you're so conscious of like what you're spending financially, we were just like, oh my gosh, $250 for the bottle. Like, I remember when we left that appointment, we're like, that guy's
it's crazy.
But then I started looking at it, it was like I think somewhere even like $750 for these bottles. But we saw some insane results.
Yeah.
Tell them about the one who had the open wound.
Yeah, so the Mayo Clinic actually reached out and to Ryan before it was even FDA approved.
Mhm.
So each bottle, like I said, has 1.5 trillion good exosomes in the body or in the bottle. I see that my phone's about to die, so we'll hurry. 1.5 trillion exosomes in each bottle. So that being said, Ryan Aesthetics was petitioned basically by Mayo Clinic. They had a cancer patient who had underwent radiation therapy, and he had about a quarter to 50 cent piece size
Yeah.
wound in his scalp. And
It wouldn't heal.
It wouldn't heal. They had tried everything for a year. They tried wound baths, they tried Facilidine, they tried everything to heal this wound that is in medicine today, and nothing worked over a year's time. So basically, Mayo Clinic petitioned the FDA, like, please give us like palliative, basically, approval to use
I love
it.
when she uses big words.
Well, it was like a comfort thing, basically.
Yeah.
And so they got it approved. So they used it on this client, and in less than 6 weeks, that wound was closed.
It was
Closed.
insane.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah. And what's great about plated is it actually was first studied with hair restoration.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing you guys can know here at Elevate, if you come get a hair restoration, we use plated in every service now.
Yeah.
So.
Again, and our prices aren't going up. We're trying to find ways to make them more affordable all the time,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that we're investing in new buildings and like new research. Yeah, I know it's been tight, but it's just I think we're so passionate about making sure everybody has access to this type of service, because this is really like a heart and soul business.
Yeah,
this is not like we just want quick money, which is why all of our appointments have plenty of time. Like I remember when we were doing the calendars for filler, and I was like, why does filler take so much time? Like, I thought that was like a 5-minute service. Like I legitimately did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of the artistic approach, and we really want to make sure not only are you just shoving filler in and giving volume, but giving volume and shape and making sure the client, like today, you pulled the client back today. She didn't sell her more. She sold her less.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the right amount at the right time when the right spacing. Like it's just real. So this is a heart and soul business. So we're constantly trying to find ways to make our prices more affordable, more easier to book, things like that, which is why we have the booking service, all those things. So really excited about those things. I'm excited to see how she does. I think we're going to report back.
We're going to report back. But the gist of today's Thursday Toast, and we're going to sum this up because our devices are about to die. The gist of today's Thursday Toast is to share that even though people have certain degrees, that doesn't mean they're always trustworthy.
Right.
And always do your own research. Start looking at these things. If you go to Google today and Google injections for hair restoration, the first thing that's going to pop up is PRP. I did that. I had to like scroll. I still, after scrolling, could not find steroids. The only time I found steroids is if I Googled steroid injections for hair loss. And then
which means that a multi-billion or trillion, I don't even know how big Google is now, has not found enough research in its entirety. If you know how Google works, there's not enough information that's being consumed or used to even tally it as a search result.
Exactly.
It means this is not out there.
That's true.
Or it's on the black web.
Right. So moving forward, for those of you who are interested in hair restoration, or you know somebody and they're getting those injections, I would highly question the dermatologist and ask, is this actually going to be a benefit to me?
And what are the risks? Start asking, what are the risks? Every time we had a service here, we don't start with how much money can we make? How does it work? We look at the risks.
Yep.
And those risks have to be minimal to even proceed forward.
Yeah. For example, I won't even offer a lot of this is a whole nother thing, but a lot of the weight loss stuff out there right now, the Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, all of those injections have greater than a 58% risk or at 58% risk of thyroid cancer. Because of that alone, I will never offer it in my practice. And we have Lipomino, which is essential vitamins and minerals that are giving us the same results as people out there who are using these
with better overall results mentally and just mood and I'd say energy wise.
Yeah, so those are just things to think about. So do your research, ask questions, advocate for yourself. Don't let somebody with a degree just tell you need to do this, because they always don't have your best interests at heart. So, and I'm always available. You guys can text me or whatever, and I'll let you know what I think very transparently.
Yeah, it's very easy to get a hold of us. Just hit up either, like I'll put a link to all of our sites
Mhm.
when we're done here, but elevatebyemily.com.
Yeah.
Super simple to get a hold of us.
Mhm.
Literally all of it's layered so it comes right to our phones
Yeah.
here all the time.
All right.
Super excited about next week. Guys, we're doing a giveaway right now for the month of April. So I love March giveaway.
Yeah.
Our winner, Melissa, is wonderful. I'm going to post her picture and
She's
everything.
so sweet. She sent such a good picture today.
She sent such an amazing picture. They're loving their greens, but I'm loving this April giveaway. And I'll tell you what, people are registering because they want to look and feel better. They want to feel their best. So we are giving away an entire IV therapy nutrition session, and I'm super excited about that. You know, I'm an IV.
Yeah, IVs are great.
I'm an IV like.
Our IVs are great because they feed whatever you need, and
Right.
like whatever your desire is, as far as like if you're looking for hair, skin, and nails, if you're looking for weight loss, if you're looking for a metabolism boost, if you're looking for just rehydration, we have all of that.
What about the nausea? Can that be used for women during pregnancy?
It's
All right,
safe.
so that's a huge one. When I was pregnant, like I felt like all the freaking time.
Mhm.
So like if you're pregnant and you're experiencing that, your nausea is probably coming partly from dehydration,
Mhm.
but also we offer IVs with Zofran in them to help
Yeah.
with the nausea. So if you're experiencing any of those, illness or anything related, we have an IV treatment for them. They take about an hour. It's an hour of your day. You come, you relax, you get into a, like your Zen state.
Mhm.
But we're giving one of those away this month, and I'm super excited
Yeah.
about it.
We also have migraine cocktails too out
Yes.
there for those of us who suffer from that. And
Yes.
yeah, so you can avoid that $4,800 doctor
Yeah,
bill.
and I'll say it again. I had COVID and I was super sick. The migraines were so intense. You know what? Now that I'm thinking back on it, they didn't even give me Toradol when I was there
No.
for the migraine while I was there,
Mhm.
which I got something to say about that. But you're not in your right mind when you're sick or when you have a migraine like that. So it's very simple to get in here, especially for IVs. And if you ever don't see anything available on the calendar, please reach out.
Yeah.
We'll see what
figure
we
it
can,
out.
we'll see
Yeah.
what we can do. But anyhow, we're giving that away. I'll drop the link. Please register to win. And on top of just the IV, if you book any service with it that you're interested in, we're also going to give you a $25 discount on that for being here and for participating. So
Yes.
super excited. I like this today. I
Yeah,
love
it was
seeing
good.
when you're like, shh.
I was mad.
I do like when she gets
I just
mad.
want you to
Never
say,
at me though.
Yeah, I just want everybody to not experience that. It's bullshit, guys.
It really is. And
It's
honestly, in this
bullshit.
world, there's so much misinformation. Everybody wants to market the shit out of stuff without telling you the truth. Like, let's just be honest, vitamin D milk is not the best source of vitamin D.
No.
That's marketing at its best, and you believe that because you've been fed it since childhood when you're eating your fucking Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did it anyways.
It's okay.
Anyhow, that being said, I'm going to drop the link to our website. You guys can contact us anytime, any questions. She does consultations for hair restoration.
Mhm.
We really do consultations for everything, right?
Everything.
Everything.
And I don't charge for consultation, but just know we give 15 minutes just because I literally do like 12-hour days.
Like she's booked back to back to back.
Yeah.
Next week is a very, very personal and vulnerable
Mhm.
session. So we'll post about that. Please tune in, especially if you are a mother.
Mhm.
I think you're going to really enjoy that one.
Mhm.
We have a lot to contribute as far as like exposing some of the realities of motherhood that
Yeah.
nobody really talks about that we're going to get into.
Just in time for Mother's Day, guys.
Just in time for Mother's Day. And my baby girl turns 5 next week.
Oh.
I've got a 5-year-old next week.
Bye.
I already got a 6-year-old too, but it's different when it's a girl.
And it's your youngest.
It's
your
my
baby.
youngest. It's my baby. You know, she asked me the other day.
Mhm.
She asked Mark actually. She asked Mark if he married me. She said, "Did you marry my mama?" And Mark said, "No." And she goes, "I want a baby sister."
Oh.
I was like, "Go ask your dad." So, anyways, guys, that's all we have for you today. Please tune in every single week. Ask questions, and as always, if something is a burning desire or question about the aesthetic industry at all, we are here to be as transparent as possible. We'll tell you what we know, and we'll tell you what we don't.
That's right.
All
See
right.
you guys next week.
See you soon. Now we got to do that creep crawl.
The creep crawl.
We got to find a way to end those.